Hi, this is Jere, your flawed therapist. I want to talk to you today about living within your means and how you have, when you have personal integrity, that kind of contributes to your living within your means. Therefore, feeling better about the social circles you travel in, feeling better about the choices you make, the decisions that you make, the connections that you choose to make. And I want to tell you a story, and it's a really personal story, so bear with me. And it has to do with cars and baggage. I don't I don't feel like I'm a materialistic person, but I just had this really weird experience around these past few cars, three actually. We moved here to the Austin area 4 years ago, and when we did, it was a great experience. It was a happy time, but it was also a very emotionally, mentally, um, it was just a very hard time for me because I had just lost my father and my mother 2 years previously, and I'm an only child. And so I was not in a good place, and I had not been in a good place for a long time. I feel like I'm kind of starting to come into healing, and so I'm able to talk about things a little bit better. And I hope that as I share stories with you, you may be able to relate and find healing too. But back to my car stories. During the time when we moved, I felt very uprooted. I felt unsafe in my world. My world had fallen apart. It had been shaken tremendously. The one thing I did maintain was my faith. I had my faith, and I relied on that to help me understand things, to help me get through things. But I also had to take action. I knew that my faith is of action as well, and therefore you have growth. But I was stunted. I was very stunted. So, um, part of the stress and the unsettling was when we left. We left a business that we had had for 13 years, and it was a great business that it provided us with the opportunity to meet some amazing people in our community. We helped seniors in the community, and it was wonderful. But we had to let it go. We couldn't find somebody to buy our business, and that was really difficult. When we moved here to Austin, we had to completely start over. And my husband completely started a new business that I never would have imagined him starting. It was a carpet cleaning business. And my husband has a PhD in marriage and family therapy. And it just didn't quite gel in my mind. During that time, I needed stability, I needed consistency, and we were completely not any of that. The one thing we consistently had was that we loved each other, we loved our children, and we loved God. That was about the only consistent thing that we had going on in our life at that time. And this was just 4 years ago. So, anyway, because we were starting all over, I thought it would be wise of me to downsize the car that I had been driving. And the car that I had been driving previously, it was a type of brand, it was a luxury brand, and I loved it. I really enjoyed this brand. But I just felt like I needed to do something else. And so I did, and I bought this other car. It was kind of a medium brand, and it was still really nice, leather seats, all the bells and whistles you could possibly have on the car. Um, but this car represented loss and grief to me. And I guess because of the transition, the timing of the move, and everything else, um, all the loss that I had felt on several different levels, I attached to this car. And it's almost like a weird relationship developed between this car and me. It broke down on me consistently. I owned it for 3.5 years, and I spent more money on that car than I spent on any other car in my entire life in repairs. Um, it wouldn't start for me at times. I would get to places, and it wouldn't start for me. It would leave me stranded. The air conditioner would go out. Um, I don't remember all the things that went out on this car, but in the span of 3 years, it increased my anxiety because I didn't feel safe. I didn't feel safe driving this car. I didn't know if it was going to start or not. I didn't know what was going to go wrong with it. It looked pretty. It looked great. It had all the fancy stuff on it. And it kind of represented me, I felt. I felt like on the outside, I looked like I had it together. But on the inside, I couldn't keep it together. Things kept breaking. Things kept falling apart. And I kept having to fix things and put things back together at great cost. And I was resentful. I was very resentful. So finally, my mechanic, who became my friend because I saw him so much, he gave me some advice. He said, "Hey, why don't you just stop?" He had just fixed my car, and he had more that he had to do, and he knew I was spending so much money on this car. And he was just like, "Why don't you just go get a new car? Let's just call this what it is and go get a new car." Well, I really couldn't afford to do it. I couldn't. It was bad timing because we are trying to buy a house. We've been renting for the past 4 years. And that's been a big goal of ours. That's part of me feeling stable and secure is I really need to get into a home that's ours to help me, or I thought, to help me feel more safe and secure. I have learned since that that's not going to do it. It's not going to do it. But I went ahead and went shopping for a new car. I had to do it. I had a small budget because when you're trying to get a home, you don't need to be buying a new car. But I had this small budget, and it's like this other car. It was an Enclave. It kept kicking me in the butt because I owed more money on it than what it was worth. I kept having to spend money on repairs after repair after repair, and I couldn't get it paid down in a timely manner because it kept costing me money to repair. And so now when I'm trying to get rid of it, it's still saying, "No, I'm still getting you. I'm still going to kick you while you're down." And that felt like me. Like sometimes I self-sabotage. I do things that create more pain and more hurt and anxiety in my life. And even when I was trying to get rid of this car, it was still kicking me in the rear. Well, I got rid of it. And I got myself a trusty, dependable Honda Accord. And it's a new car, but it's a plain car. So it's no frills. There's no leather seats. There's no tinted windows. There's power windows, and that's about it. There's no power or electric anything else. But I really feel good. I really feel like I am living within my means, and I'm living within my integrity. I feel like I'm driving what represents me. Nothing fancy, but it's dependable. I'm dependable. I don't have, I'm not living the Escalade life, but I'm living a dependable, sturdy Honda Accord life, meaning I've been stripped down. Life has stripped me down, but I'm rebuilding. I'm rebuilding, and as I rebuild, I have to do it in stages. I can't go right back up to the Escalade life. There's growth there. I have to build up to it. And so right now, I'm in a safe Honda Accord life. And that feels good. It's really weird how having this new car makes me feel like this fits me. This fits me in my stage of life right now. It's not fancy, but it's dependable. And that's how I kind of feel. I feel like I'm at a stage in life where I'm dependable. And I can start growing from there. So, that is a very personal story to share with you. But I do it in hopes that if you feel somewhat like I have, unsteady, not able to really get a sure foundation, a sure footing in life because for whatever reason your world has come crashing down around you, you're trying to rebuild, do so with integrity instead of trying to self-soothe with things, with food, with material things, with harmful relationships. Start at ground zero again. Start with yourself. Go back to your faith. Go back to what you know is right, what is true, and start from there. And build and grow. And incorporate people in your life that will help you. I've had to go to therapy, and it's been very helpful for me. Your flawed therapist has been to therapy, and I highly advise that. If you're going through stuff, it's tough, it's serious, and you need to get help, and that's okay. I've had to have some really honest, heart-to-heart conversations with my husband about where I am in life and how he needs to be able to see me, not as who I once was, but who I am now, and how I need him to acknowledge my struggles and not expect the same things like maybe he used to, because I'm not at that level yet. Giving yourself grace. Give yourself grace. Give yourself allowance to be flawed, but to love yourself right where you're at, and to accept yourself right where you're at, and say, hey, this is the ugly, this is the beautiful, let's go. Let's start from where you're at. I'm good with you. That's freeing, that's releasing, or at least it has been for me, and I hope that you can find some comfort too. So living within your means, living within your personal integrity, and establishing some peace in your life. This is Jere, your flawed therapist. Have a good week.